Altbays.
Altbays.
Altbays. Altbays Show is live. 2023. Yay. Happy New Year. Happy days. Isn't it beautiful? Life is beautiful. Life is beautiful. Isn't it good to be alive right now?
God, please, no!
Yeah, man. It is. And we give shits to people and then we forget that we're all alive at the same time right now. And it doesn't happen. Like, you know, it's unique. It's beautiful. So be nice to people. If you're watching us right now, you're watching us on YouTube. And if you are on YouTube, you should subscribe to our channel. It really supports the platform, supports the team. It's growing anyway. If you don't follow, it's your problem. It's growing. It's happening. It's unstoppable. It's nothing you can do about it. Ha! You can also follow us on Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram. TikTok's going off, man. Wow. Madhouse. Love that shit. We have 10,000 followers now. One of our clips did very well a couple of weeks ago. Oh, I'll save that to talk to Petra about it. But anyway, follow us there. Make sure to follow us on all the social medias. We also releasing a beautiful new magazine. If you are listening to me right now on Spotify and you can't see what I'm doing, I'm holding a beautiful, colorful local magazine called Coral Mind. Our media group has just released it, and it's a beautiful collaborative project. So if you would like to be part of this, you can send us a message. We have space, obviously, for community voice and for people who wants to share the thoughts, their thoughts and ideas. Let me open at a random page here. There you go. Begin Anywhere, The Art of Creating, written by the composer, performer, beautiful artist, Stupidly, and his son, Jimmy Flanagan, 9 years old, did the illustration of his page. How amazing is that? So you find our magazine all around the Coromandel, Waihe Beach, Aotearoa, Thames, Great Barrier Island as well. A friend sent me a picture that he saw in Auckland. How cool. It's happening. Petra, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Oh, my.
Cool, eh?
Yeah,
We're doing this.
we're doing it.
Thanks for doing it again.
No problem.
More relaxed now.
Yeah,
Third time?
third time.
Third time.
Yeah.
Comes
getting
in
used to
threes.
It does, exactly. Hopefully this is the best one yet.
For sure.
Yeah.
How was your New Year's Eve?
I worked like crazy. I was working at the church bistro in Hahe, and I was working not too long, but very hard. It was very, very busy that night. And then, you know, wake up the next morning at 6 o'clock so I can start work at 7 at the cafe I work at as well, you know.
Making some money, eh?
Mm-hmm.
So those traveling plans go ahead.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Before we jump into this beautiful conversation, I just want to give a nice shout out to our friend Tuia Marama. She came here to the show, I would say maybe 3-4 months ago. And she is around. She's in the Coromandel. She's doing a Lumi Lumi massage. Starlight Healing Medicine Center, 19 Monk Street in Whitianga, and she warmly invites you to surrender and relax to the deep hypnotic flow of traditional old-style Hawaiian Lumi Lumi massage, an intuitive healing modality that brings harmony and connection back to self. She's available on the 4th, the 5th, and the 7th of January by appointment. So make sure to get in touch with her, tuiamarama.com. She's awesome. She's a lovely human. The show with her was amazing. We talked about sexuality, about women empowerment and healing traumas, you know,
Yes.
the jazz. And it was super cool.
That sounds amazing.
I learned a lot. And it makes sense, right? These people that they understand how to work with energy.
Yeah.
And then they do this massage work. Like they use their hands to,
Yeah, exactly.
to pass what they're feeling and supporting people. Do you pay, like, do you go, like,
No,
is it something that you do? Like, do you go to places?
Really, like, it's one of those things, like, I was driving past a massage parlor today and I was like, oh, that would be so nice. It doesn't feel like an amazing spending of your money until you do it, and you're like, that was 1000% worth it, and that was, like, one of the best things I've ever done for myself. But you never think about it until someone's like, you should do this. You gotta.
It's well spent money, for sure.
Yeah.
So there you go. Check her out. When you said that you were working quite a lot for New Year's Eve and all that stuff, like when you were a bit younger, would you guys always celebrate together, the family, or New Year's Eve was a bit more loose and then Christmas was a thing, like a family thing?
It always depended. For my family, at least. At my mum's house, the big one was always Christmas. And at my dad's house, the big one was always New Year's, because we like to celebrate the turning over of the year and the letting go and all those nice kind of things. At my mum's house, she's always like celebrating the family and coming together and all that kind of stuff. So you get to see both sides of the picture. But both are usually pretty loose anyways.
Do you guys have attachments, like, to the traditions, to, like, religious traditions of Christmas and all that stuff, or no, it's just like the time of the year, the solstice?
Exactly.
You mentioned the solstice the other day, right?
Celebrating the solstice is way better than celebrating Christmas or New Year's, I think, because the real New Year in, like, the southern hemisphere, it doesn't really happen till winter, really, does it? Because we have Matariki, that's our New Year in New Zealand. That's when it happens here. And so celebrating the solstice is like celebrating the longest day. It feels like both a solar and a communal event at the same time.
We had a guest, great show, by the way, Andrew Barber. He's an artist, and he was telling us that he tries to live by the moon. Yeah. And he says that humans miss out a lot by not understanding basic concepts of the moon cycle. Yeah. Do you tap into that?
I did for so long. Do you do that at all?
No. Yeah. I know it. Sometimes I look, because I lived by the beach for 6 years. Very lucky. And I got in tune with the seasons. So there were times that my mood was a bit different, and I would look up and I was like, oh, you again. You know, like I could tell that there was something to do with what was happening around me, but I didn't go into the details to actually understand.
Yeah. Oh boy, I think while I was in Wilderland, my big thing was I really wanted to plant to the moon, because the huge thing in Maramataka is to plant with the moon cycle, because it affects the way the seeds grow and everything like that. And so I was really in tune for a solid stint there of, like, what the moon was doing at all times and what that meant, and that was really, really beautiful. And then I moved, and then I stopped.
Who did you learn with? Like, who are you doing with? Did you just...
A lot of it was on my own. I had some people very beginning. Like, the very beginning of when I was moving there was this real cool guy called Khan. And he was...
Khan,
he introduced
Khan.
me. Yeah, he introduced me
That's
to
great.
that. He's a real cool guy. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think we and I agreed with Andrew. I was like, yeah, I do think we miss out a lot, because we have this routine that it's like, it's because of work. You know, we have to follow the Monday to Friday, the 9 to 5. But, like, sometimes you are productive later in the day.
Yeah.
Or way earlier, and sometimes it's a day to do nothing.
Exactly.
And imagine calling work and saying, sorry, the moon is not right for me, so I'm not going. They'll say, no, fuck off, you gotta come. But, like, it would make much more sense if they would respect that, and the next day you might be fired and work much more.
Did you talk about that with Tuya, about, like, because there's a massive thing that's like, women, like, the work days of the week are based on a men's cycle. Like, you're the most productive in the morning, and then you drop off at the end of the day, because that's the testosterone cycle of a man, that's daily. And they talk about women being with the moon and working with their monthly cycle, like a lunar cycle almost. Like, the fact that women work at the same rate at men even is ridiculous, because they're working through menstruation and premenstruation and all those kinds of things. That's something I feel like you might have talked about, because I didn't get to watch that one.
I don't remember if we did. I think I would remember if we had, but it makes a lot of sense. That must be some cool companies run by women out there. We should do some research. Hey, that would be amazing because it breaks the cycle. Like it changes like what is expected to happen, right? And you get the best out of people.
Yeah.
Have you heard about anyone like who actually follows that? Now I'm keen to research and see if we could find someone. That would be amazing.
That would be really cool. I've seen an article of a woman who practices it herself, but she's not a business owner. And she was like, I'm out. It's my period one time. And her boss was like, well, should we all just stop when we're on our periods? And she was like, yeah, probably.
I find it fascinating how we do this thing of like judging women's behavior.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, she's on her days and like, man, but like men fuck up a lot and men are like, you never know, we are unpredictable. At least with women, you know, you have an idea, you know, like, but we make it as a horrible thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But what about men? Men suck most of the time.
Yeah, you guys have no excuses.
We have no excuses. We're horrible.
Yeah.
Speaking of horrible men, Andrew Tate.
Boy.
Let's give some shit to Andrew Tate.
Let's do it.
Where should we start?
Where should we? Oh my God, the fact that he didn't even get arrested for what people thought he was doing in the first place. Like he was doing something else bad. They thought he was human trafficking and that's why he got arrested. He got arrested for money laundering.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So that was an interesting fact that I thought was pretty funny. He probably got a little bit of human trafficking on the side, but what they got him for was money laundering, and that's why they were looking for him. And that, whoa, boy, did you?
Well, it's one of those things that like you check under the carpet, and then there's much more.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
usually what happens.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, of course, we have to be careful. I have to be careful because I'm speaking of like saying things that are not true, but like some people, sometimes you look at them and you're like,
yeah,
there's no way this guy like it's all good. Like he must be doing something stupid because he is stupid.
Yeah, he's not.
So like, you know, it's impossible. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good timing. Hey, I don't know. It's just like, and in this show, as you noticed, we're open to talk to anyone.
Yeah.
About any subject.
Exactly.
Would love to have a chat with him. Would love to have a chat.
He can come and sit down right next to me and we can have a chat.
It's all good.
Yeah.
But like, it's just hard to see how detrimental those attitudes are. Because even at school, I've heard a lot of the young boys say, oh, Andrew Tate is the man, is the man. And I'm like, okay, now is a good time to be careful with what you say, because I remember when I was young, if I think something and someone says that's not right, I feel even more like empowered to keep liking what I was liking, you know, because someone is telling me not to. So in these moments, I always trying to kind of like, okay, and ask a question. Oh, why? Why is he the man? You know, like instead of just saying, no, he's not. So, but yeah, I understand why as well. Like big cars and noise and the clothing like becomes a character.
He's turned himself into a character. I think that's what's gained him so much attention. He even has like a catchphrase and he walks around and everyone recognizes him just from his bald head and his accent. You know, it's tremendous the way he's branded himself, despite the fact that it's not all positive. He's got himself out there, like everyone knows the name.
Do you think it's something to respect the way that I know, like not from what he does, but like it's a big job.
It's a big job, but I think respect is due where there's something coming out of it. There's nothing really coming out of it except for him inflating his own ego. He's not doing anything positive for the world. He's kind of just not creating anything great. He just created a lot of people's attention towards himself.
What because that's one of those things, like we know as the show grows, we will get, let's say, relevant people here. And obviously I'm going to go for people who I disagree with, because that's the whole point, is to have a conversation. And I heard people saying, why would you bring that person? Why would you bring the topic up? And I'm like, well, we all have our experiences, and there's something human in those, like always, you know, like, and I feel like that's one of my obligations. That's one of my responsibilities. You're like, I'm talking to a human, and let's see if we can find where the fragilities are, the insecurities are, like, why is he thinking like that? Why is that person doing that? You know, what happened to them before, or what kind of information did they receive that is making them have their attitude, you know? So I don't judge the guy straight away. I don't come with rocks straight away. I listen, and you never know, like, it could be an opportunity for people to rethink.
Yeah, exactly. You never know. You might have that influence at the end of the day. There's also just sort of like, you always have to think about people come from somewhere. They didn't just wake up one day and were like, you know what, screw it. I just don't like this group of people. I just enjoy making other people's lives miserable. I think in a way that isn't as progressive as everybody else. There's usually some trauma or some backstory or some insecurity that it stems from.
I'm always, I also think about the women who like the guy. Hey,
that just reminds me of women who either feel extremely victimized or they want to feel like protected by someone else, even though it's entirely not a form of protection. They feel a sense of security because he holds them. He like grips on them. You're mine. You're my thing. And maybe having like a sense of your own personhood might scare some women even who've been severely traumatized.
Do you think there's something to do with wealth? That's, again, it's just something that I'm trying to more and more like tap into, just so I understand the big picture of things. Like, and usually they will say that like women will feel attracted by a man who gives that sense of security. It can be in many different ways, you know. Sometimes it's a physical thing. Sometimes it's like, oh, they're hard workers, you know. And I believe it actually goes both ways. But definitely, I don't know, because of the mothering thing of knowing that you can have the time to be a mother and the man is doing other things. I don't know. So I always think about those dynamics when it comes to wealth. We live in this capitalist world that is all driven by what you got, you know. And then I think if sometimes women think, oh, he's not the greatest, but he can provide.
That's been a thought that's been around for centuries, you know. Like there's, you know, I was watching Anne with an E, which is just a show about like, and it's very accurately represented women in the early 1900s, late 1800s. And a lot of it is just like, there's this massive thing about like, you have to marry and settle down and have children, but you have to marry a specific class of men so that he's going to be able to provide for you. You're not marrying for love, you're marrying to have children so that you can have that sense of security. So marrying into poverty is not something that they would even think about. And that thought has been back hundreds of years and is coming into our generation still.
And it's going to take time to change.
Yes.
Unless shit happens.
It's changing though.
It's changing. It's changing. Oh. It's a shame that it's slow.
Yeah. But that's when the best change happens, I think. I think the best change is always the slow one. When something changes like that overnight, there's always some kind of consequence.
I think that's what drives people to do cool stuff, when they understand that concept of what you do might not benefit you directly, but you're doing something for the legacy of it. You know, like you're leaving something. I had this thought, this interesting one the other day of like, people worry so much about wealth, but like you don't hear big names in history when you read about them. They often don't, like they don't mention wealth. No. They mention what they've done. And I was thinking about, this is a nice way to inspire someone, you know, like, oh yeah, it's nice, good on you, hard work will get you some money, but like, people will remember you for what you've done. Exactly. Legacies never die, but wealth does. Wealth dies with you and you send it all off, but your legacy never will. Nah. What do you want to leave as a legacy? What do I want to leave as a legacy? I don't know. I feel like I haven't thought about that one yet. That's do you feel really like are you already leaving something by your actions? Like, are you
I hope so, but it's also, I think, being aware of the impermanence of everything, even a legacy, will eventually fade away. You know, so I'm not too worried about leaving something permanent, because that can end up being a thing as well. I just want, you know, leave a good trail behind me as I go.
How is life now that you know that you don't have to go back to school next year?
So good. It is so good. A school's a great place to do a lot of hard work, to do a lot of hard learning. Like, it's where you go and you struggle, and then you like realize the hard things, I think. Now that I don't have to sit down and do that all day, it's really good. That I can like go out into the world and enjoy it instead of be stuck to a very specific place for a very long period of time too. That's my big thing.
A lot of people keep, when I say, because on Christmas Day, we went to Otama Beach.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. But we were here before going to Otama. We were in the studio. And when we got back, we came back here.
Yeah.
So I can say that I spent Christmas
at work
working. And people's reactions, like it's quite interesting. It's that feeling of like, oh, sorry, kind of like, oh, damn. And I'm like, no. Like we wanted to be there, you know, like it's been a cool journey. Like we're doing it. And then it made me think about learning processes, because I work at a school, so obviously I appreciate education, and I'm all for it. I think like should be the biggest investment for any nation. It's on education, but because it's a system, it's a business like any other. If you're not careful, you're mining. You're making people not want to learn.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
I think we talked about that with Alex actually when you were here before,
exactly.
of that thing of me feeling like, oh, so cool that I'm putting myself into these challenging situations and feeling the pleasure of learning again.
Yes. Yeah.
Because maybe I had an idea of like, get me out of this system. I don't want to do this shit. But like, there's so much pleasure in learning new things.
Yeah, there is. There's a way that school can crush that in a person, I think. It did that for you a little bit, do you think?
Yeah, because it was an obligation.
Yeah, I think that's part of it.
I was showing up when I was going to. I was staying in the classroom because I had to, and I was always finding. So like I realized I was a good strategist because I was finding ways to get out of the classroom. And I remember, this is a great story. So like I was not good at many subjects, but my memory was okay. Yeah. So I would study the day before and I would do okay in the exams, but I was good at English. So I remember one day that I left my classroom. I found a way, I sneaked out, so I left. And then I knew that the other class, same year as mine, was having English classes. Yeah. So I looked at the door and I saw that the teacher was writing. So I went in, she didn't see me, and I found a seat. So I sat there in the middle of among my friends. And the teacher, like in front of 40 kids, she didn't realize that I was not from the classroom. And then she started to ask questions and I was answering the questions and everyone around me was laughing. And the teacher was like, what?
Oh, that's so funny.
Then she clicked. And then she's like, oh, Leo, you're not part of this classroom. I was like, yeah, nah. But like she was confused because I was actually.
And you were doing really well.
I was engaging, you know, I was king. And like, wow, I never thought about that. But like bringing this story up made me realize that like, there were things that I was keen to learn.
Yeah, that's really good. That sort of, I feel like with most kids, there's even a class that they quite like and but they don't realize that they're learning because they feel like the learning always has to be the hard stuff. That's what the teachers even the teachers enforce that a little bit. They're like, learning isn't always fun and it isn't always the best, but that's not what they mean. They mean learning sometimes isn't very fun and it's quite challenging. But most of the time it should be good and it should be joyous like it's been for you recently.
I had a conversation with, we're bringing back a lot of the shows, which is cool. Shaz is one of the school nurses. Yes. She's amazing.
She's so cool.
And she told we didn't talk about that on the show because we had so many things to cover. But I had a conversation with her once and because she sees the whole school, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about how all the kids, there's always the bully, which is a shame, but like a lot of the times, the older kids, they like to spend time with the little ones.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a cool connection when you put different ages together. And she said that, it's like it was one of the moments that she was thinking, and she was like, I always wonder if it would work
Yeah.
to actually mix it up
Mix up the ages.
in the same classroom, or like not having a classroom, but like an environment that you're learning with people from different ages, because that's what life is, isn't
Yeah.
it? What do you think about it?
I think that's an incredibly good idea. I think, well, there's that Albert Einstein quote that's like, you don't understand something until you can explain it to someone else. And that, like, maybe even sort of like these older kids teaching younger kids sort of thing could be, because they do it very rarely. They like have like a reading group for year 6s and year 3s one time a week or something like this. But maybe having like a mixed class every so often where they all get to learn about the same topic, and, you know, the older kids are learning something way cool and the younger kids are, or like they're learning something really big and they're doing all the really hard work, and the younger kids are doing all this really easy work, and there's some time to mingle, and the older kids get to teach the younger ones what they're learning about because they already know. That is something that I find really great. I mean, you get to do it all the time at work when you're working, because I work with a lot of the younger ones at the moment, and you're getting to teach them and you're teaching yourself it again, you know?
Yeah. It could be something. I wonder if there are systems out there, like, because there's like the Steiner, you know, like there are different schooling systems that would mix it up.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure if Montessori schools do that, but I feel like they might.
Montessori,
it's a different, it's very similar to Steiner. I'm not quite sure exactly how. I know that some people have had some terrible experiences in both Montessori and Steiner, though, and then they've also had really amazing. So it's just sort of, I'm not entirely educated about that sort of school. Yeah.
I'm not either. Have you heard about that, Papa? Montessori? That would be cool too. Yeah, we would have to have a look. How are you feeling about all the travelers, people coming to New Zealand?
It's good in so many ways. We're finally seeing culture again. For so long, I feel like we've been stagnant in this, like, the same people all the time, you know. You're just like, hey, this
Kiwis again.
This other Kiwi and this other, you see the occasional Aucklander or a person from Tauranga, and it's just like, yeah, this is getting a little bit old. And now I've been at work and I'm talking to all these Swiss and French and German and so many Europeans. It's been massive in that way. Yeah. What are your thoughts on it?
Love it. My parents are coming tomorrow.
Exactly. Yeah.
Doors
so
are
exciting.
open. Yeah. You bring Brazilians as well, unfortunately. Sorry, not just the Europeans.
Yeah,
Some
exactly.
Brazilians will
No, the
rock up.
Brazilians are cool. I like Brazilians.
They're cool.
Yeah. Surrounded by them at the moment.
Are you?
Yeah. Well, at my work, my chef who's Brazilian, well, not my chef, obviously. He cooks me sometimes. Sometimes I get a little snack in the kitchen, but I mean, other than that,
Mr. Gabriel?
Mr. Gabriel, the church chef, his whole family has pretty much come in. He's got his dad, who's Brazilian. I've got you two now. Feel like I'm just really embracing the culture, even though I only know like 4 words in Portuguese.
There you go.
It's really coming to me.
You love Brazil. You will love it. Yes.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. The thing that I started to talk about when we started the show, and then I was like, I'll hold this because this is cool to bring you in the conversation. So we had a show maybe 2 weeks ago with a chef, Andrew Lee, from a very like traditional Coromandel family, the Lee family. And he's been living in Australia for a few years now. And he works in, I think it's a resort there. He mentioned the name. I forgot now. And he said something. It started as a joke. His comments was funny, was great. But then it turned into something that the repercussion was quite amazing for us for the show. So he said that the problem with Australia is that there are too many Australians.
Yes.
And that was the funny bits. But then he was actually talking about how a lot of the chefs there, they just go for the money. There's no passion. There's no like dedication.
Yeah.
And then we made a clip out of that went crazy on TikTok.
It did. Oh my God. You were talking about newspaper articles getting onto it?
So that was it. So we had like 200,000 views on TikTok, which is cool. But like TikTok it's what it is, right?
Yeah.
Like you get a lot
blows
of
up a lot of the time.
it's fine. So like it doesn't surprise us
Yeah.
anymore. It's like, oh yeah, cool, 200,000, yay, cool. But then a friend sends me a text that New Zealand Herald, the Daily Mail in the UK, New York Breaking, like a few big media outlets around the world have written articles about that clip.
Yeah.
And the coolest thing, obviously, for us is that they mention Altbays,
Yeah.
you know, like they put pictures of us. But of course, they are talking about his comments, you know, of like, oh, the Kiwi chef
Yeah.
slams
Yeah.
Australians. And then I read that. And then I was like, well, if you are a foreigner, you're going to work harder if the conditions in your country are worse than the place where you are.
Yes.
You know, and this is a system that is broken, and people who don't understand that is probably because they never left the country, or they live in ignorance, which is not a bad thing. Ignorance is fine. It just means that you don't know something yet. So for me, it was not a surprise. You know, it was like that's what I've been living. That's what I go through since I came to New Zealand. People say, "Oh, you're such a great worker. I wish we had more workers like you."
Yeah.
I'm like, well, your country offers a great lifestyle. It's safe. Your money, it's 3 times the value of the money that I have at home. Of course, I'm going to work.
Yeah.
You know, like, of course, a lot of people become complacent, you know, like they understand that and then they slow it down. But like, it's just something that happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel because at the moment I'm working with a lot of foreign people, and you just sort of notice the workmanship, like the people who are from New Zealand, it's almost like a sense of comfort and complacency. Like you were saying, they adapt to the situation, you know, they feel safe and they feel like they don't have to fully push themselves to the limit, you know, to sort of show that they're grateful. And then I have a couple of coworkers who are from India, and the economic situation in India at the moment, as you know, is not entirely the best. It's difficult. You have to work hard and you have to keep your job. That's just what you have to do, and there's a lot of respect for your bosses, you know. There's a lot of that hierarchy going on in their cultures, and it's like those people will work harder because of the situations that they've come from. You know, here in New Zealand, I'm getting a lot of the Kiwis starting up here and starting to work for their first time, and they're like, I'm getting paid $22 an hour already. They don't even need the work, really. They're just starting because they're starting to get they're starting work. And there's a sense of like, you don't need the money. There's no sense of urgency to have it. Why do you work as hard as you possibly can? Why would you do that, you know?
Is it what it is now? That's not minimum wage, is it?
Minimum.
It's a bit more than minimum wage, isn't it?
22 is just like, is like 50 cents above.
Right.
I think it's like 21.50 or something like that.
The cool thing is that New Zealand has the living wage, right?
Yeah.
That you can ask for. What is the living wage at the moment, Papa? Do you know? Maybe just under 24 might be?
It's 23 something at the moment.
Isn't it interesting?
It's so interesting.
You have minimum wage,
Yeah.
but then you have living wage, which is kind of like, come on, this is what makes sense. And-
Exactly. Oh, well, I know Countdown in specific, they have to pay a living wage.
Oh, yeah?
To everybody, even unless you're under 16, obviously.
So living wage is 23.65 and minimum wage is 21.20.
Yeah, that's the one. Overestimated the minimum a little bit there, but
Wow.
it's, so I know because my sister works at Countdown, they always have to pay living wage. That's a part of their company policy, and it's amazing.
It doesn't matter which arguments people have. It's very hard to accept how we select humans, eh? Like, isn't it?
It's
like,
weird.
You just, okay, of course, I understand. You worked hard, you studied a lot, so you're gonna make more. But like, when you look at what the minimum is, and the minimum you cannot afford a roof, your own roof, like, you know, like you if you look at, like, if you put, because how many people in the world will get paid a minimum wage their whole lives?
know.
A lot of people will get minimum wage their whole lives, and they're not going to be able to buy a home.
Yep. That's never going to happen for them. It does annoy me a lot, because there's a lot of people who, the concept of like a 9-to-5 job was created so that people could work hard for a long period of time and get paid and not have to run their own sort of farming sort of little thing, as part of the Industrial Revolution. And so they were able to get a roof over their head using another sense of work and purpose and whatever. And now it's become the other way around again. You have to be doing something entrepreneurial and you have to be getting these big educations, which is an investment in itself. You can't just go out there and work, and it doesn't matter how hard you work. If you're on minimum wage the whole time, you can't do any of those things that people like, the house and the car and the mortgage and all those kinds of things that are beginning to become a little bit essential to just have your own space.
And they make you feel bad. They make you feel bad for being lower class because they say you don't work hard enough.
Yeah.
There's no one coming and saying, oh, maybe you didn't have opportunities. No, it's like, no, if you work hard, you'll be fine. What's the word for that?
Classism.
Classism, but there's a
Meritocracy.
Meritocracy.
Ooh.
Is the merits is a beautiful word. It means something horrible, but it's a beautiful word. It's meritocracy. It's that thing of like, if you work hard enough, you get it. And you're like,
that one annoys
man,
me.
like if the starting point is the same, you can say that. That's why one of the cool things about school that I really appreciate is that they are not big fans of the word equality. They're more fans of the word equity. Yeah. Are we going from the same place or not? Do you want me to read this, Papa? Hey, we got someone from the audience.
You.
Let's have a look. Oh, it's Andrew Tate. From J.O. Joking. Tanya, evening people, happy new year to you all. Yay, Tanya from Lotta Love, plant-based, amazing business from the Coromando. Good stuff, very good read. Man, would you like me to bring dinner? We would love you to bring dinner, Tanya. Maybe not now because we're already in the middle of the thing, but yes, let's do it this week. Montessori is task-based learning in early childhood. Their play is their work maths orientated. Their play is their work maths orientated. So there you go, giving more information about Montessori education. There you go. Thanks, Tanya.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Tanya's amazing. Plant-based food. How many years now for you, Petra? Eating plants?
Eating plants? Oh, so the time that I decided I was going to go properly vegetarian, I was 15. And then I think November 2 years ago now, I cut out dairy because that was making me quite sick. Yeah. And
do you have like some things that you have to keep up, like B12, like all those?
I do have a B12 supplement. It's currently in my bag, actually, that I take sometimes because you can feel when it's getting low. Like, I get really crack around the lips and you feel tired and you can't sleep at the same time. It's god-awful when you're actually low on B12. I've had only luckily been there once. And I also eat eggs because I don't think my body would be able to cope entirely. I don't think I have everything without eggs, and very, very, very occasionally, like once a year or so, I go out and I hunt myself shellfish with some friends or something,
So it is appealing to you sometimes, like you look at it and you're like,
Never, ever with anything besides from fish.
Okay.
Everything else makes me feel physically ill, even to like look at, which is very hard working in hospitality, but
There are, I've read it before, that the thing with B12, people like to target plant-based people, but actually there's a huge amount of the population who have deficits of B12.
So, you have to maintain the B12 stores, and that is very difficult. If you're not losing it, it's fine. I think you can, there's something like energy drinks, plant-based milks. Eggs actually have a very low amount of B12.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, chlorella is the only truly vegan source of B12. Chlorella, I think it's an algae. That is the only truly vegan source of B12, and it's really good. that's something that I've been looking into, and everything else is very difficult to find.
Well, you know that the reason why animals have B12 is because they drink the water before treating the water,
exactly.
right? Yeah, it's the bacteria. So the animal is actually not producing anything. It's just the storage, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they either eat meat or they drink nasty water. And I think, like, there's something to do with ruminant animals. They have some kind of different process. Like, we do produce B12, but it's too low in our intestine for us to absorb. So we've got a whole lot of it in our gut just sitting there doing nothing.
Right. So there you go. Learning with Petra. Petra, you look amazing, by the way, Tanya said.
Oh, thank you, Tanya.
Ooh, that plant-based life
exactly.
makes people shine.
You just glow.
You just glow. You just glow. What's up, Papa? How are you, man? You're quiet there. What's happening, man? How are you?
I'm good, man.
What's happening? Papa's world.
Not much.
Come on, man.
You gotta give us more than that.
It's a podcast, man. You gotta speak. Are you tired, bro?
Yes, a little bit, man.
Yeah. How is the journey of running a studio and publishing, being part of a team that is publishing a magazine as well?
But this part is good. It's just fun. Doesn't even feel like work.
Seems inspired,
awesome.
Petra?
That's very cool.
Yeah, but when you get tired, like, you feel tired, but not really. But the problem with that is that you end up overworking, if you know what I mean, because you enjoy it, and then when you see like you're doing too much, but it's just about trying to find the balance, I'd say.
Yeah.
I was going through. I love journaling.
Yeah.
I like to write. Now I don't have much time because when I sit to write, I fall asleep.
Yeah.
Because I'm tired.
Yeah.
But I love that part of my day, of my life, of putting my thoughts on the paper. And very occasionally I pick an old book just to see where my life was.
Yeah.
Just randomly. I just grab one and then I have a look. And funny enough, 2 days before New Year's Eve, I grabbed this notebook, and the first page that I wrote, it was pretty, it was pretty cool. I had some cool stuff written, and then one of them was something like, don't be a slave, like don't work, don't work your ass off for other people,
Yeah.
like working a lot. That was Leo in 2019 saying, working a lot just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Especially if you're making a lot of money to other people.
Yeah.
So just be mindful of your energy and what you're going for. If you're going to do something, do it for yourself, but be mindful that you might have to hustle a little bit, like it's not going to be like this. It's not going to be instantly. You might have to go through a time that you're going to do something that you're not a big fan of that work, but it will take you to where you want to be. And funny enough, here we are.
Exactly.
3 years later, we are in this good
You're
flow.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're here and you're doing what you love. It's almost like you have to wade through the mud to get to the other side. If there was ever a metaphor about wading through mud, I don't think there is, but now there is. So
we don't want to make spoilers or anything, but you also wrote a piece for our magazine.
I did write a little piece for the magazine. It was about how different viewpoints between Indigenous people and Western people affects the sustainability of our actions.
So this is something to look forward to for our February edition.
Exactly. That's only a month away now. God, time goes by so fast. I'm looking forward to seeing it out there. It'll be also available audibly, as these guys have created an audible version of their own magazine, which I just think is the most incredible accessible thing.
Accessible, right? Makes sense. And that's a cool thing, because we released the magazine in the Coromando last week, but when we were selling, because we are very thankful to all the people who trusted us, because when you are trying to sell a product that you can actually not show the product.
Yeah.
It's trust based, you know, and we had amazing people on board believing in what we do. And we told them that it would be a January edition, but we knew that we could do it on that Christmas week,
Yeah.
you know, for the busy time of the year. So we released the magazine last week, but we haven't even started delivering it.
Yeah.
But that's the interesting thing of the creative process and the commitments with a magazine, with a podcast, with any media outlets. Like our mind is already in March.
That's so crazy.
You know, like we are, people don't know what the January edition is. We got February, not 100% sorted, but like well on the way.
Yeah.
And we are already
thinking about March.
March, yeah.
Like, what do you have to be so prepared. That's something that is insane to me. You guys were like, oh yeah, just have it into us by Christmas. We'll have this one in by February. And I'm like, you guys must be thinking so far in advance already. Like, your minds must be ready for bloody like June already, almost.
We have ideas, yeah. You think about the big picture, but you also have to be flexible.
Yeah.
Because something might change, but I think that's the cool thing of a beautiful printed media thing. Like, if I have too many pieces, I can put them in the next month. Yeah. If something comes up, and it could be in this month, you know, like people will understand that it's fine. Like, it's not the discipline of a newspaper that it has to be fresh. And we respect so much. I think this is something important to say. Small town mentality can be quite detrimental, you know, because people think that you are taking the space of other people. We have a collaborative mind, you know, like if you are in a bigger space, you will have all these different outlets catering for all sorts of people. So when we come up with a product, the last thing that we think is like, oh yeah, this is gonna be a competition, we're gonna get this.
Exactly.
Like, you know, there's space for everyone.
Yeah.
You know, we're not the media doing like everyday news. Like we don't have the ability to do that yet.
Yeah, exactly. Altbays taking over all of media in 2024, baby.
But then what's the fun of that?
Yeah, exactly.
What's the fun of the monopoly? You know, like, even if, is that the word? Monopoly? Did I say it right?
Like the monopoly is in like the big game and trying to...
Yeah, but like the meaning is also like when there's just one thing, right? You took over, like there's no space for everyone else. Is that right? I think so.
I think so.
What's the fun of that? Like, what's the point? Why would you trust one source of information?
Exactly.
Like, come on.
What?
Damn.
Why would you do that? It's so crazy.
I know, right? So that's how we see what we're doing. Like, we just want to give space for people to share their thoughts.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a read. We're gonna trust the people who are writing for us. It doesn't mean that we agree with everything that is there, but it's for the community. You know, like, we're not putting every single thing that happens out there. We're selecting what we think that would be relevant for some people. Yeah. And we might get some cool cats involved, hopefully.
That's what I like about you guys. You guys are always willing to cater for every single person. Like, it doesn't matter what kind of person shows up or what kind of information comes up. You're always willing to indulge in it a little bit and, you know, not necessarily allow it, not necessarily, endorse it, but definitely to give it space.
Do you know
That's so important.
Do you know how that idea came to us? How? By throwing parties in Fitsianga.
Yeah. Yeah.
Taylor and I, we love throwing parties, and then we realized that the demographics here are different from what we used to have in São Paulo, in Brazil, because we were always with the 20-something year old people. And then you come to Fitsianga that are older people.
Definitely.
But at the same time, the language schools were active at the time that we were more active, like party-wise. So we would do these big parties, and you would have like 17, 18, 19, 20 years old people, and then like our friends, like the 30s with their children, and a lot of old people as well. And then you have this massive cool party, and it's very less likely that people are gonna get too smashed or drink, like abuse, because you look around, oh, there's kids, there's like, oh, I can and we would see this cool moments of like a 18-year-old from Germany talking to this 75-year-old Kiwi dude, like, and then the children are dancing with the teenagers, and we were like, this makes a lot of sense. When it's time to tidy up, everybody helps. When it's time to do something, there's a lot of respect involved. And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before of like having spaces where all the ages relate to each other.
Yeah, that is actually so interesting. I found a very similar experience while I was staying at Wilderland. There was people from me, like I was always the youngest, pretty much, actively involved in the community. And then there was the oldest, which I think at the time there's this really cool guy who would come in, and he was 80 years old. He'd come in every few weeks, and he'd like come in and teach me about the plants, and everything always worked together as a community throughout the whole ages. And I've never learned more from like directly from other people in my entire life than being actively involved with so many age ranges. And it's just been like the most incredible experience, I think.
Talk to people.
Yeah.
Fabian said something pretty cool one day. He's like, there's always someone in the room who knows something that you don't know.
Yeah.
I love that. I love it. It humbles you, It
does.
Go ready for an experience, and you might learn something, or you might teach something amazing. Good on you. You never know what you're gonna get.
Exactly.
We have Raymond Costa saying, great stuff, Leo. As always, cheers from Auckland.
Cheers, Raymond. Thank you so much, man. Auckland, hey, I like Auckland. People say, Jaffas are coming to the Coromandel. I'm like, that's so disrespectful. Yeah. I really enjoy Auckland. Every time that I go to Auckland, I try to go to a gig. I find a restaurant that I like. I go for a nice walk in the city, and people will say, oh, but like people in the city, they're doing their thing. We're all doing our thing. Yeah. People in the city, you can say that probably they're busier, and I understand. I come from a big city, but like it's the engine of New Zealand, like Truly. Auckland is driving this country, man, like Truly. Giving shit to Kiwis, give shit to every city of the country, like it's not just Auckland. They will say, that place, and I'm like, man, Auckland is the coolest.
Auckland is cool. I like some aspects of it. I could never live there. I cannot do big cities. But people constantly making fun of Aucklanders coming in, they are definitely more reserved because they're not used to the aspect of community that we have, except for South Aucklanders. They have their own thing going on, though, usually. They've got their own community, but people from North Shore and West Auckland, they're not the most open and friendly like we are. They're not used to seeing the same people every day either. They're just not used to it, and that's why they're talking about like people in the city have their own thing going on. They have their heads down. They won't wave at you. Of course they don't. They see like 400 other people like you in the 5 minutes. Like what? You gotta look down, or otherwise you're gonna get overwhelmed.
I come from a city, so like for me, it's a treat. It's funny because people say, "Oh man, the pollution, and I'm like, yeah, but that's the reason why I'm here now. Yeah, like going to the city, it's so entertaining for me. It's like just, and I love K Road. Love K Road, the madness, the noises and the smells. Sometimes they're not great, but that's the real people. Like that's something that sometimes people forget. Like, oh, what do you mean by like, oh, that place is shit? Like you saying that people are shit. Like that's just the reality of the people who live there. Like you don't have to go. Yeah. It's like a comedy show, like we were talking before, like, oh, that comedian, don't go. Yeah. Don't
indulge then, because there's a space for people like that, and that is, like, K Road is a place for people who enjoy those activities. They have fun doing their own thing, and they're not hurting anybody. So why do you care so much?
Exactly. Stay home.
Yep. If you don't want to leave the bubble, then don't.
Then don't. And it's fine, right? Petra, nice and short and sweet. First show of the year.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we did this together. This is cool.
I am, because you've asked me a couple times, and both times I've been working, and I was so sad because I was gonna go on with who was the artist from Tairua. He seemed really cool. I already forgot his name.
Artist from Tairua?
I'm not sure if not from Tairua, but he runs the gallery there.
Was it wait. Artist from
The last artist was
Peter Augustine, but
I
he's
think
from
so.
here. Oh,
He's from overseas, but he
yes,
runs
he's
the
from
gallery.
overseas, and his gallery is here in Fitianga. So maybe it was
Yeah.
a bit of miscommunication
Yeah.
there, but it was such a good show.
He
Lovely guy.
seemed so cool.
Shout out to Pete.
Yeah.
Like with a lot of life experience, like I love those people.
Yeah.
He speaks like 5 or 6 languages, something
So many-
crazy.
So many people from Europe do. I think so. The chef at my work, his dad, who's also now the chef, his wife is from Holland. She speaks 5 languages, 3 of them fluently, and 2 of them to a very decent degree. And that's just the most insane thing to me, like to be able to speak that many languages. And so many people from especially middle and Nordic countries in Europe, they do.
Well, New Zealand has the official language from Aotearoa spoken quite a lot in the country. So it's a good idea to learn some Te Reo Māori, maybe. Isn't it?
Yeah, such a good idea. Please go learn Te Reo Māori.
Please go learn some Te Reo Māori. Let's do it. Let's wrap
Let's
it
do
up. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. This was amazing. I really think it's a great way to kick off the new year.
Let's have some more snacks.
Yes.
We'll be back on Wednesday with Christine Threadgold, our lovely co-host, chatting with, is it Williams? Her last name? I don't want to say it wrong, but I do want to say her name. Paige Williams, lovely hairdresser from Matarangi. I won't be here because my parents are here, so I'll be watching from home, but they're going to run the show. It's going to be fun. I'll see you on Wednesday. Peace.